Harry and Meghan falling out of fashion with this fashion icon? Hi, good morning, Neil Sean here in the very heart of London. Nice to see you as ever. Nice to have your company. Now, I don't know about you, but I was just looking at something the other day. Makes you feel ancient, doesn't it? When you think about it, Goldfinger, right? 58 years old. It was on TV the other night and you think, this was a cracking film. You know, you do that, don't you? You sit down and you think, oh, this is great. And then you look at all the technology that they were doing all those years ago and you think, oh yeah, they were right about that. That looks a bit like a mobile phone, tracking device, all that sort of stuff. How ahead of the times were James Bond and the gadget people? M, yeah, do you remember him? Q, brilliant, wasn't it? And explaining all of those things. I just thought to throw that out there. Yes, 58 years old. Goldfinger, Bond, does that make you feel old? I wasn't born before you ask. I was just looking, you know, and you think, how old is this film? You know, like you do, and then you think, oh no, really? 58 years. Of course, Dame Shirley Bassey sounded as fabulous and looking as fabulous as ever. Back though to your breaking roll story of the day. This is an interesting story in itself because, as we know, it's interesting, isn't it, with Harry and Meghan? They seemingly have a shelf life with so many of their acquaintances, whichever way you look at it. Seemingly you're in, then you're not in, then you're out, then you're not out, you know, the usual stuff. What's interesting I find with Harry and Meghan is, obviously they move around, you know, with friends. They decide where they're going to be and who they're going to be with. But you would have thought that Prince Harry's friendship group would have remained. But it's got a really tricky situation, and let me explain, because the fashionista, as she likes to be called, Victoria Beckham, the former Spice Girl, and her husband, football star David Beckham, as we recently told you, have agreed a deal to put their documentary out via Netflix, which is going to be interesting in itself. It details David's rise to the top of international football and world icon status, and whatever you think, he's made a name for himself, certainly around the world. Very clever guy, whoever's behind the Beckhams. We know who that is, of course, Simon Fuller. But what's interesting really is that we were detailed in that book, Revenge, that David and Victoria Beckham were accused, and as ever we have to say allegedly, of tipping off certain media outlets regarding press and all that sort of stuff with Harry and Meghan. And there was a bit of a, shall we say, frisson, a falling out between the two. Apparently that was all smoothed over, and seemingly now they're still the best of friends. Or are they? According to a very good source, David and Victoria were always closer and, shall we say, bigger friends with Catherine and William. Now, call me a cynic, but of course, we know that Catherine and William are the A-listers, the star players. And if there's anything that the brand Beckhams are good at, it's aligning themselves with the right people. As we know, they attended both royal weddings, and I thought they looked great actually. And we do know, obviously, that Meghan has worn Victoria Beckham clothing over that period. I think what's good is at least she was helping a British brand. Whichever way you look at it, Victoria again has turned herself round from pop star to international fashion designer. Whether it's going well financially or not doesn't really matter. It's selling around the world. Interesting. But according to that very good source, there is no way that David and Victoria will be aligning themselves when Harry and Meghan and William and Catherine are all over the United States, if they're over there, simply because they feel that their allegiance, as I say, is closer to Catherine and William, the future king and queen of England, Ireland, Scotland and the Commonwealth. But what's interesting also when you think about it is this. Moving forward, David would very much like to become Sir David Beckham, which would make, of course, Victoria Lady Beckham. And who can make that happen? None other than Prince William, with a nod, of course, to his father, His Royal Highness Prince Charles. And if he gives a nod, of course, to his mother, our gracious monarch, Our Majesty the Queen. So there is no way that they are going to be giving that friendship up anytime soon. Glad to clear that up for you, Harry and Meghan. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.